Welcome to John McGivern's Main Streets, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of this popular TV program.
I love it!
You'll hear from John, Main Streets producer and director Lois Maurer, and that episode's content producer as they share some of their favorite memories from filming and interesting stories that you won't find anywhere else. Today's episode, Bloomington, Minnesota.
Our third episode of Season 2 is Bloomington, Minnesota, one of the two Minnesota episodes we'll be doing this season. And I want to introduce you to our content producer, Emily Annunziata. How are you, Emily?
Good. Hi, John.
Did you love Bloomington?
A lot of unexpected,
Unexpected.
When people think of Bloomington or hear Bloomington, they think of just Mall of America.
Yeah.
So part of my challenge as the content producer was finding what else is there.
Right. So I'm here with Emily. I'm also here with Lois Maurer, who is our executive producer and our director. And Bloomington, it was surprising because I knew that we would do, of course, Mall of America, because that's really kind of what that community is known for. Why? How did we come to Bloomington?
Well, if you remember, we talked about needing to do someplace around the Twin Cities.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a market that we love, it's an area that we love, and I wanted to do something around the Twin Cities, but what? You can't take on Minneapolis. You can't take on St. Paul. There are neighborhoods there. So I gave the task to Emily to find me something around the Twin Cities. And she came back and said Bloomington, and I was like, oh, isn't that just the Mall of America? I don't like to cover malls. I don't like to cover franchises. And Emily took on the challenge.
Took it on and found that I think one of the most surprising things to me is people who live in Bloomington or are from Bloomington have such pride in Bloomington and seeing it build up and, be better and have things to do. That was really cool. Once you connect the dots with one person in Bloomington, then you get introduced to more and more and more people.
Right.
And I just kept finding new cool things.
Yeah.
That were not all mall centered.
Not all mall centered.
Well, because people would be surprised to know that Bloomington, Minnesota has more parks and outdoor life than as far as square miles, it's kind of remarkable. And we saw some of the outdoor life that they have. And the parks are gorgeous and everywhere.
Yeah, and people that live there, that's one of the things they love most about it is the outdoor opportunities that they have. And they really have invested, and they haven't advertised it very much. They don't talk about it very much. I think they're all trying to keep it to themselves.
Right. They want to enjoy it for themselves. But if you look hard enough, you can find your way to the list of parks. And people love to walk, run, hike, bike.
Yep.
Bicycling is a huge pastime and business there.
I was going to say, because one of the reasons bicycling, is so big there, maybe isn't because of quality bicycle products. I don't know which came first, quality bicycle products or all of those trails, but they sure work well together now. Were you surprised at quality bicycle products?
It was my favorite thing in the episode.
Was it?
It really was. What they do, first of all, when you think of quality bicycle products, so what they are the go-to for any of your bike shops, any place that has to order parts, any place, this is where they get them from.
Yeah.
So we walked into this warehouse and I was completely overwhelmed and shocked around the number. Like I thought, they're going to have a couple seats and some handlebars.
Right. Not rows upon rows upon
rows. They do
rows.
have a couple seats and a couple handlebars for every bicycle that's ever been made.
Remarkable.
Unbelievable.
And I loved the way that they, what is it called? The culture of this place. Because you walked in and they said, here's our parking lot. Well, it wasn't a parking lot for cars. It was a parking lot for bicycles. So along a wall, because they said it as we walked inside their facility, they said, here's our parking lot. I was like, we're inside. I also loved
that you could tell who got to work last by which bike was parked farthest from the door.
Right. And the first person in was, of course, the president of the...
Always.
That's who we talked to.
And even got you out on the trail on a bike.
He did.
Yeah.
And, of course, we chatted about the fact that, I'm sure I mentioned a couple times all season is that I have an e-bike. So I have an electric bike. And this was like the first time I've really settled all season.
He kept saying, "Where's the switch?
Come on.
Where's the on switch?"
Put it on easy for me. So we were on the trails. And then the other thing, no matter where you are in Bloomington, you always see what you say, what is that?
Yes.
And what it ends up being is it's the ski jump that is in the
Yes.
middle of town.
The
It's
Bush Lake
ski jump. And we had a chance to talk to a guy who has been jumping off that thing like since he was a early teenager.
Yeah.
And whose son and kids are doing it now.
Yeah.
And in the summer they use the smaller ski jump and they still jump.
Now, were you surprised when Emily said, "Okay, we're going to cover the ski jump," and you knew we were going there in June?
Well, I was like, we're just going to watch. We're just going to look at it. Nobody's going to be on it, but they were.
Yeah.
Because they use some sort of materials.
Some sort of material, and they spray water on it, so it's essentially a water slide for skis that they can practice not the really big jump, but the little jumps, and get the form down and get the kids that are part of the ski team to practice. So that was surprising to me when I was making my calls, and I said, "Oh, can you provide us with some winter video?" Well, they'll be practicing. It won't be snowing, but right, they'll be practicing. Suited up.
Perfect.
That was perfect.
Well,
was
and we're down
perfect
on the
for-
ground in the smaller ones, and we look up, and you and Bob are on top of the big ski jump.
Oof.
Just Bob, but that took a lot of guts, because if seeing that in the horizon and then seeing it up close, daunting. I couldn't walk up those stairs.
Yeah.
Bob and Emily, Bob Gregory is our B-roll shooter. That means that there's two units that go on our show. The first unit consists of 4 people: John, our videographer, our field audio engineer, and me. And we go get the interviews. And then the second unit is the content producer and the second videographer, Bob Gregory. And they end up filling out that episode with all of the scenes from around town that you could possibly want. So when we're talking to somebody about the ski hill, for example, when you're doing the interview, they're getting shots of the people going down the hill so that we can cover, the interview.
And that's what you mean when you say cover.
Yes,
So when
cover.
we're in the middle of an interview and then somebody's talking about something, then Bob and Emily are out shooting what in fact they may be talking about, so you have an image of that. And when
Right.
you cover it with what's known as B-roll.
Right.
Yeah.
All that technical stuff really just comes down to how much our audience gets to enjoy the show. And it's a really great way to show more of the city, because obviously we pick 8 interviews. We can't show you all of the city, but with the B-roll that gets shot, that extra footage that gets shot with the scenics, that's what paints the picture to our viewers of what a town looks like. And I hope that in Bloomington, the picture that is painted, you will find is not the Mall of America.
But the mall
not.
was cool.
Oh, it's so
mall.
cool.
And
But we didn't want to leave our viewers thinking that's the only reason to go to Bloomington.
Yeah.
And with the mall came there's stores. We know there's stores at Mall of America, but what else?
Right.
We did get that access to behind the scenes people and parts of that mall that make it operational every day. So that was really cool as well.
Right. Because people don't realize what the team that it takes to run a place like the Mall of America.
Right.
Well,
You-
just the flowers, because that's what we talked about. We talked about the plants.
Yeah.
We talked about the flowers. We talked with a woman named Barb. Do you remember her? You are the supervisor of horticulture.
Of interior gardening.
Do you have any idea how many plants there are here?
I believe there's around 30,000. The varieties are picked by what will do the best in this environment.
Yeah.
It has to be zone 9 or higher. That's the orange tree. See the orange?
Oh, sure. Yeah. What's
Cool.
this gorgeous tree?
That is a podocarpus.
It's really beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very pretty. A lot of the trees over in this area are original. We wash them down every week.
Oh my gosh.
She was.
She was serious and she was fun and she knew every plant in the mall.
And she put me to work.
Yes, she
Yes,
should.
she did.
She did.
Because there are thousands of live plants inside the mall and trees
Right.
Yes.
that they need to take care of. They're not fake in there. That's real.
Yeah.
And it's a crew of like 3 or 4, I believe. That's
The-
all.
Which is why she wouldn't stop very long to talk to you, because we were like, okay, can we just talk to you over here for a minute? And she kept looking at her watch going, I got things to do. Follow me.
We have to shake the tree. I'm like, excuse me?
Yes.
And we shook that tree. and then swept it up, and she just kept moving.
The mall, this is a stat that I thought was really great. If you walk around the perimeter of the mall, every floor, right? Are there 5 floors in there? If you walk around the whole way when you get to the bottom, how far have you walked, Emily?
Um,
caught you off
Miles?
guard.
gosh.
Like 3.5 miles, I think.
And they sure have the walking, the walkers are such a part of it. They each get their own
membership card or something. They're
badge
it's a group.
that they sign in with that badge. They have their own code, and it's like, wow, good for you.
That's really great because in the winter, it's the upper Midwest. It's snowy and awful. They can walk every single day.
Yeah.
And you don't have to take one stair if you don't want to.
Right.
You can literally get in the elevator and go to the next level. So it's a nice flat walk.
And if you stood on the parking deck, the outside parking, and you looked, I don't know if we were looking south, but not a stone's throw is a farm that we had time to spend some time in, which was a sheep farm. And we talked to a woman named Cindy who owned the farm. Yeah. And this entire mall built up around this farm that's been there for a very long time.
Or on it, right? Wasn't that whole area farmland?
It was. I'm not sure part of it was theirs, but it was farmland.
Yeah.
So, you're standing in the front yard of the Spruce Shadows farm, and the mall is right there.
The mall's right
and then the airport, the planes, taking off and landing at the airport. But then you turn around and it's beautiful.
And there's a sheep
farm
in your face.
and the reserve.
Right.
The Minnesota National Wildlife Reserve is behind you too.
Right
so it's such a crazy trifecta of scenery things there.
Want to wear something that's going to support your favorite show? Shop at Main Street Store. Proceeds go to help us get next season into production. So come on, go shopping at mainstreets.tv. I've got to talk about insurance. Are you stressed and overwhelmed with your Medicare Advantage plan options? It's ironic, really. The thing you need the most causes you stress. And it doesn't have to be that way. I chose Network Health because it's not stressful. For 40 years, they've provided health insurance to Medicare members throughout Wisconsin. And their customer service, let me tell you something. It's like nothing I've ever experienced before. So if you're looking for a Medicare Advantage plan and you want to be relieved of stress, you got to call my friends at Network Health. Call 844-277-7174 today. That's 844-277-7174. Don't wait.
Food-wise, you remember what we ate, you guys?
Wally's roast beef.
So when we got there to do the site survey, we asked, so what's the restaurant in town that everybody, is going to go to? And Wally's roast beef came up. So when we went to look for it, I kept thinking, I'm missing it. I mean, this has got to be a big deal because everybody talks about it. And when you drive up to Wally's roast beef, it feels like you're going to the doctor's office, doesn't it?
Right.
Unexpected. And when we walked in for production, line out the door. Out the door. And people in line, we all have our Main Streets t-shirts on, stopping me, saying, I came here purposely, I'm about to go home to New York, but I made sure that I come here first before I take my flight this afternoon.
Wow.
Right.
There's just a love and loyalty to that roast beef sandwich, which was very good, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We talked to the manager who I believe was a little short-staffed that day because as we're in the middle of the discussion, if somebody walked up, he'd be like, excuse me, I have to serve them.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Lord. I was like, I'll help. Let's get these people out of here.
A staple.
Yeah.
Locals go to and people travel to.
And we went to a brewery as well.
Yes, 9 Mile Brewing, which that plays into the love of Bloomington that residents have, because the owner of that brewery from Bloomington has such pride in it that 9 Mile Creek is a creek that runs through the area as well. So that's where the name came from, and just loves bringing the community together.
But how could that be the first microbrew in Minnesota? Wasn't that what he said?
Right.
Or at least in Bloomington.
Yeah, it was a city charter
Right.
that allowed you
that's
to,
right.
I think, make but not serve
Right.
Right. He had to get the laws changed
So,
to be
right,
able to do this.
Bob, the brewery owner, was like, we've got to change that. So he was a big part in changing that city charter, so that people can enjoy his product.
Right.
And he built that place right. Like 9 Mile's really great. When you go in there, it's comfortable. You can play games. You can enjoy a fire. You can go outside. You can be inside. It was just really a comfortable space.
But it was in an industrial area.
Right,
So it
again,
was like,
unexpected.
right.
Taprooms have an industrial feel. We're a manufacturing facility, technically, right? We're making beer. So we like the fact that it's industrial, and we tried to put some soft touches in there.
Are there any other tap rooms in town?
No other tap
This is
rooms
it.
in Bloomington, and as far as I know, no one's planning one, but I've said, and I will stand by this, I would be fine with 2 or 3 more, because I think Bloomington's big enough.
Right.
The focus is interacting with people, playing games, a sense of community, just sitting down and having a conversation over a really nice beer.
Again,
We're looking for the brewer, the self-standing brewery. We're driving around
Nope.
again. It just felt like going to Wally's. I was like, wait, it's there.
right. It's a good episode. And again, I think we're here to, as Emily said, it's the unexpected. It's not just the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota. It's a great community to visit and spend some time at the mall, but there's other stuff to do.
And, after you've had a beer and had a sandwich, go play pickleball, because that's really
Right.
huge there as well. John, you got to play a little bit with
Well, I'm
instructor
going to tell
David.
you now, when you watch this episode, it was the last thing we shot, and I was wearing long pants.
I told you
Nope.
to bring your tennis shoes.
It was like it's fine. We're just going to show but we did play some.
You did.
And these were pickleball pros, so
These were serious people.
it wasn't just a casual scrimmage.
Right.
They had you sweating.
You held your own.
I did okay.
Yeah.
You surprised them, actually. I believe, both David and Rachel both said, "Oh, wow, John really does play pickleball."
So there,
Yeah.
in wingtips and long pants.
Whatever it takes. Got the shot.
It was a good episode. You did a great job, Emily. We really appreciate all the help on that. And you're always incredibly prepared, and it's always great to work with you.
Thank you. I love working with the crew as well.
Curious to find out where John is traveling next? Head over to our website, mainstreets.tv, to learn more. Again, that's mainstreets.tv. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast and please leave us a review. It helps more people discover great programming like Main Streets. Look for us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to follow all the action. John McGivern's Main Streets is produced by Plum Media in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.